I had spent years running our household like clockwork, cooking, cleaning, managing schedules, making sure Daniel and Ethan had everything they needed. I never thought twice about it. That was my role as a wife and mother. But everything changed the day Ethan looked me in the eye and said, "You're not my mom." It happened at his school's PTA meeting. His teacher had called me in to discuss his recent attitude problems. And when I tried to defend him, Ethan snapped. "You're not my mom," he said, loud and clear. "I don't want you here." My breath caught in my throat. The teacher looked uncomfortable. I turned to Ethan, expecting an explanation, a correction, anything. But he just looked away, embarrassed that I was even standing next to him. Later that night, I told Daniel what had happened, expecting him to be angry at Ethan to discipline him. Instead, he sighed and shrugged. "You know how kids are," he said. "Maybe he just meant you embarrass him in front of his friends. Melissa never makes him feel that way." Melissa, his secretary. I stared at him, something sharp twisting in my chest. What does Melissa have to do with anything? Ethan talks to her a lot, he said dismissively. She understands him better. Maybe if you took better care of yourself, you wouldn't embarrass him. That was it. For years, I had given them everything, only to be told I wasn't enough. Out of sheer anger, the words spilled from my mouth. "I want a divorce." Daniel scoffed, barely looking up from his laptop. "You're being dramatic." But I wasn't. That night, I didn't cook dinner. I didn't pick up their laundry. I didn't remind Ethan about his homework or Daniel about his meetings. The next morning, instead of making breakfast, I went shopping. Instead of cleaning, I booked a spa appointment. Instead of waiting for them to come home, I went out with friends. At first, Daniel laughed it off. "She come around." I overheard him telling Melissa on the phone. "She just wants attention." So he decided to prove he didn't need me. He moved Melissa into the house. She wore expensive perfume, cooked fancy meals once or twice, but soon, reality set in. She had no patience for Ethan's mess, no interest in running a household, no warmth in her presence. She was decorative, not functional. The house grew chaotic. Daniel started coming home later. Ethan started eating fast food every night. The perfect image they had in their heads of a life without me was crumbling. Then one evening, Daniel called me. "Come back," he said, sounding exhausted. "Let's talk." But I had already moved on. I had started living for myself, taking care of myself. And for the first time, I didn't feel like someone's servant. "I'm not coming back," I told him. And for the first time, he finally understood I meant.